icLAAo. I can't lose. No reality where I lose. Ever. Today is April 22nd, day 112 of the 100 push-up, 100 squat progressive challenge for a year. It's crazy that it's called the 100 push-up, 100 squat, but in reality, we're doing a lot more than that. Because for this month of April, we're finishing it off 130 push-up, 130 squat for this month. We're finishing off April. And for May, we're going to 140 push-up, 140 squat. Now it's getting serious. For May, it's getting serious. But we're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep pushing. So, let's go.
Because it does not present itself as collapse. It presents itself as distraction. The man does not stop. He accelerates. He fills his time, crowds his thoughts, multiplies his pursuits, not realizing that movement is not the same as direction. This is the condition of the modern soul. Not open rebellion against meaning, but quiet estrangement from it. As Friedrich Nietzsche once observed, God is dead. Yet the statement was not a celebration. It was a diagnosis. Not that God had ceased to exist, but that he had ceased to be real within the consciousness of man. And when the highest reference point disappears, the structure beneath it begins to shift. Meaning becomes negotiable. Truth becomes flexible. Purpose becomes self-defined. At first, this appears liberating. Man becomes his own authority, his own measure, his own center. But over time, this autonomy reveals its cost. Without an anchor beyond himself, the man becomes unstable. Because the self will not be alone, but distracting. And distraction, when prolonged, becomes a form of disorientation. It scatters attention. It divides intention. And a divided man cannot move with strength. He moves in fragments. Part of him desires discipline. Another part seeks comfort. Part of him longs for truth. Another part avoids it. This internal division is subtle. It does not always appear as conflict. Often, it appears as inconsistency. A man begins well, then stops.
66.
He commits, then withdraws. He sees clearly, then forgets. This cycle continues until he recognizes its cause. Not lack of ability, but lack of alignment. The man who seeks God must learn to simplify his life. Not externally at first, but internally. He must begin to separate what is essential from what is merely habitual. This is not easy, because habits do not present themselves as obstacles. They present themselves as normal, and what is normal is rarely questioned. Yet it is precisely here that transformation must begin. The ancient thinkers understood this. They did not begin with action. They began with examination. As Socrates stated, the unexamined life is not worth living.
Has
not yet begun to see. He moves entirely within habit, entirely within impulse. But the man who has begun to seek God cannot remain unconscious. He begins to notice the fracture, and once seen, it cannot be unseen. This awareness brings discomfort, because it removes the illusion of innocence. The man can no longer say, I did not know. He knows. And knowledge introduces responsibility. This is where many hesitate, because responsibility demands action. Not tomorrow, not
99.
But now. The will must enter, not as force, but as decision. A decision repeated, again and again. The philosopher Aristotle once wrote, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. But habits are not neutral. They either strengthen a man or weaken him. They either align him or divide him further. The man who seeks God must now confront his habits, not all at once, but deliberately.
99.
He begins to see patterns. But the deeper he goes, the more this belief begins to fracture. He notices something unexpected, that even with clarity, even with discipline, there are moments where he cannot carry himself. Moments of exhaustion, moments of uncertainty, moments where the will, though trained, feels insufficient.
130.
This is not regression. It is revelation. The revelation that man by himself is not self-sustaining. This insight is often resisted because it confronts one of the most deeply held assumptions that strength must be independent. That reliance is weakness. That surrender is defeat. But the man who seeks God is led into a different understanding, an older understanding, one that does not originate in modern thought, but in ancient wisdom. As Augustine of Hippo wrote, "Do not seek to understand that you may believe, but believe that you may understand." This statement reverses the order. It suggests that not all
130.
truth is reached through control. Some truths require trust, not as passive acceptance, but as alignment.